The Lord had been handed his title by his father before. He collected taxes from all those that lived in the valley. He always took the best crop from the farmers during the time of harvest. His table was never empty, and he made sure that he was always given the best of everything. The farmers didn't always like the way that their Lord treated them, but as it was his valley, at least according to him, they were expected to give in to his demands. Now, in the Lord's house was a stable run by a young boy. The boy couldn't remember a time when he hadn't been a stable boy. He spent all morning and most of the day taking care of the horses, grooming them, and mucking out the stalls. He was always given crusty bread and water by the Lord's kitchen for his meals. Even though he was quite hungry, he would always share what he had with local beggars. There weren't many beggars, however. The Lord would whip them if they ever came too close to his gates. The stable boy would also volunteer to help the farmers with their daily tasks whenever he had free time from the stables. Whatever they asked, he was happy to be of help. At the end of the day, he would collapse on his bed, usually exhausted and hungry, only to start all over again. Life seemed to go on. The Lord grew fat from the work of his people, and the stable boy continued to work for the meager breadcrumbs to share with others. One day, however, a messenger ran into town crying out that an enemy army was marching into their valley. The people panicked, and everyone began grabbing whatever goods they could carry to run for the hills. The Lord stuffed a sack full of gold and ran for his stable. The stable boy had already saddled a horse for the Lord and stood by patiently as the Lord took the reins from him. "What should I do, my Lord?" the stable boy asked.
"What do I care? You're just a stable boy."
The Lord kicked the stable boy out of the way and took off. The stable boy got up as quickly as he could and fled out of town. The army marched into the valley and burned everything to the ground. The stable boy wandered through the woods for days, hungry and alone. After several days of walking through a deep forest, he came to a clearing. There in the middle of the field, sitting on a rock, was his former Lord. The Lord saw him and beckoned him to approach.
"Ah, stable boy, it is good that you have come. I'm quite tired of carrying this sack of gold. Carry it for me and follow."
The stable boy nodded and took up the sack and followed the Lord through the field. The two men walked for several days until they came upon a road that led them to the gates of the great king. The Lord rubbed his great belly that had grown quite hungry from all of this walking. The Lord walked up to a guard and demanded that they be given an audience with the king. They were soon ushered into the great courtroom where the king sat on his throne. "How may I help you, sir?" the king asked.
"My good sir,"
The Lord spoke.
"I was Lord of the valley that has been overrun by a great army that destroyed my home."
"I see. And what of the people that you were appointed to serve?"
"The people? I care not what happened to them. Can you not see that I am without my own kingdom? I have nothing left but this sack of gold and this worthless stable boy. Now, I will gladly give you this gold for a position in your court. I am sure that you could use someone of my talents helping you rule."
I do believe there is a position that you may be qualified for. "Steward," the king called. A man stepped forward with a shovel and handed it to the Lord. "A position in my stable has just become available." The Lord cried out in outrage as he was led out on the thoroughfare. The stable boy watched him disappear and then spoke up. "Good king, if there is another position in your stables, I will gladly serve them for you as I did for my former Lord. No, my son. I do, however, have another job that I believe you can be of great help with. There are many homeless people that have recently come to my land. They will need someone to help them farm a new land and build new homes. Do you think that you would be willing to do this for me? The stable boy nodded eagerly, as he was always happy to help others. You will need a tool for this job. Steward. The steward stepped forward once more and placed a large crown on the stable boy's head. The Lord spent the rest of his days in the king's stable, his bitterness transforming him into a bent old man that never saw the beauty around him. The stable boy grew into his crown and became a great leader that served his people all the rest of his days. Kingdom principle. The greatest among you will be your servants. For whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. Matthew 13, 11 through 12.
Yeah!